Well, hello, hello, hello. I'm Dr. Liz.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Coach Michael Bart Matthews. Welcome to our Book Cafe. This is a safe space for you to let your hair down so you can deep dive into a situation where you can strengthen your personal development. We are featuring one of the all-time greats and great architects in this space, and his name is Napoleon Hill. Did you know that Napoleon Hill journaled when he wrote his book, Think and Grow Rich?
Wow, Coach Mike, that's a 20-year journey of journaling by Napoleon Hill, turned into a manuscript and turned into a book. The first principle in his book, Think and Grow Rich, is desire. Desire is the principal step or the practical step to transforming your desire into riches. And wow, I have my book of Napoleon Hill right here, and I keep it as a great reference tool. I love what it says on the cover. It says, your big opportunity may be right where you are now. I love that, love that. And to go into the actual practical steps, he gives us 6 steps and he talks about how to write those in your journal, right? So let me put my sexy specs on so I can make sure that I don't miss any of the 6 steps. Well, one of the 6 practical steps is first, fix in your mind the exact amount you desire. Again, wow, desiring, right? The second one is determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. Again, another step that we're writing in our journals. Number 3, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. I love the intention that he puts into each one of these steps and helps us to do it, do what we're going to do intentionally, right? And with purpose. Number 4, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once. That's giving us the steps, but actually putting the now into it, the sense of urgency, right? Number 5, write out again in our journals, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Again, I love the way he refers to writing it out and making it plain. And number 6, read your written statement aloud twice a day, once just before retiring at night and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Ooh, I love it, Coach Mike.
Yes, yes, yes. Did you also know the 13 original principles came from Napoleon Hill's journals? That means he took out his journal, he took out his pen, he took out his paper, and he got himself in a private space where he can think, and he started journaling. And those journals came up to the 13 original principles, which Dr. Liz just said the number one principle was desire. But I want to talk to you about the 8th principle, which is persistence. But before I go into the 8th principle, the 13 principles should be read from 1 through 13 in order, in sequential order, and follow that action plan. But here's a pro tip. For those who just use one principle, your life will be better than people who use 0 principles. Just trust me and see. Try it out and see. Because we are avid Napoleon Hill followers from years ago, way back when we didn't even know each other. She was in Michigan, I was in Illinois, didn't know Dr. Liz, Dr. Liz didn't know Coach Mike. But because our brains were tuned in, tapped in, and turned in to the 13 original principles across the time and space that separates us, it pulled us together doing the 13 principles. So let's get back to the 8th principle, which is persistence. What does persistence really mean? Here's a question. Have you ever failed at the first attempt at doing something and then you didn't quit? Or have you failed at something and you did quit? So if you did quit, that means you wasn't persistent. But if you didn't quit, we consider that calling failing your way to success, being persistent against all odds, taking no as a cornerstone for success, not for failure, because you can only fail if you quit or don't be persistent. But what makes a person has persistence? The first principle that Dr. Liz talked about, which is desire, or better known as your burning desire. Because when you know your why, your reason or purpose, and your goal or dream, that's being utilizing your desire. But in order to achieve that, you have to get off the porch and run with the big dogs and be persistent day in and day out with your plan of action, and then move those feet, move those minds, and move those hearts, and move those bodies, and move those souls toward achievement, even against all odds. Because through every adversity or failure, there is a seed of greatness or success attached to that persistence toward achieving your burning desire. So here's a couple of bullet points that I want to talk about with persistence and the eighth principle to tie it into the number one principle of desire, using the journal. So take out your pens, take out your papers, and start writing your journals right now as we speak. As I'm speaking now, as Dr. Liz will come back later, continue to speak, I encourage you to take out your pens and paper and start your journaling now. And for those who do already journal, this is just another higher level way of you can become a better journalist. So in your journaling journey, hey, I like that. In your journaling journey, you will have some really good notes that you can really use for coaching, teaching, or bettering yourself, or strengthening your own personal development, self-help, or self-actualization. Number one, you must know your why. You must know your why, your reason or purpose, your goal or dream, or back to principle number one, as Dr. Liz talked about, desire. You must know your desire. And when that desire or your why becomes your burning desire, the eighth principle, persistence, kicks in, because any excuse is a reason to fail. And if you have a burning desire and you become persistent, you kick out those excuses. So you continue to fail your way to success until achievement. Number two, be intentional or laser focused, meaning in your journal, write down what your why is, what you have to do to get your why, the date that you want to achieve your why, and then take little small notes within your journal as to the baby steps that you take in order to achieve that real goal because of your intentional laser focus. Meaning, we are both published authors, just like Napoleon Hill. The books behind us are books that we wrote. Had we not had a burning desire to become a published author and not develop the eighth principle, persistence, to continue with our journal to our manuscript to publication, we would not be published authors. So that's just to tie into persistence in what we do as writers. Number three, you must be dedicated to achievement. You know, how do you get to first base? Well, you cannot get to first base if you're still sitting in a batter's in the dugout. You have to get up, hit your cleats, walk up to the batter's box, position your feet, put the bat on your shoulders, take a few practice swings while the pitcher's winding up, and then swing till you hit. You heard the umpire say, strike one, strike two, then back, hey, home run. That's because he was persistent. The batter was persistent enough to continue to swing till he or she hit a home run or hit the ball out the park. It's just like that in personal development, self-help, and self-actualization. You have to keep swinging till you hit. Number four, if I'm counting correctly, I'm just so excited about talking about these principles. I don't even know what number I'm on. But guess what? If you're using your journal and you're taking notes, you should have the right number on your paper. So it's okay if I keep on talking? I see a lot of heads saying yes, and Dr. Liz said yes. So I'm going to keep on talking. Now, you must be willing to do what others want so you can achieve what others can, but others don't. I'm going to repeat that because that was very profound. Now, write this down. I'll go a little bit slower. You must be willing to do what others won't so you can achieve what others can, but others don't. So what do I mean by that? Let's move this conversation over to the athletic realm and talk about coaches like Phil Jackson or Pat Riley, Chuck Daly, and some of the other championship winning coaches. Before practice even starts, the head coach and the 6 other coaches, whether it's a strength and conditioning coach, your motivation coach, your free throw shooting coach, your rebounding coach, your defensive coach, your offensive coach, You have 6 or 7 coaches on the next level of basketball. All of those coaches get together, and the head coach starts a journal of X's and O's. But what does he do? He looks at his player personnel, players 1 through 15, because there's only 5 starters on a basketball team, but you have 15 players. And if you're one of those 15 players, what is your mindset when you come into training camp the first day? Your mindset should be, I have the burning desire to be a starter, and I'm going to give it all I got and be persistent every single practice. But what does that direction come from? That direction comes from the head coach and the other coaches who use their journal while writing out X's and O's and play patterns and different player personnel, strength and weaknesses. Some players can't shoot from 30 feet out. Some players have a weak left hand. Some players are good at the free throw line. Some players can only rebound. That's what I mean by player personnel. But that all comes from the coach using his journal to coach the team in practice, watching films as a visual way of journaling. So they watch the films, and then on the journal that they wrote down on the paper, they cut the lights on and they still talk to the team about the game plan for the upcoming game. So all of these people I mentioned, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Chuck Daly, would never have won championships had they not journaled the correct play patterns to the teams. And then the team members also, while you're sitting there, guess what you're doing? The Michael Jordans and the Scottie Pippens and the Magic Johnsons, they had their own journal, and they took notes from the coach's journal while the coach was journaling them. So when they went back to their hotel rooms, they were spot on with the words and the definition and the meaning of what the word journaling means. So in closing for this little section about the journaling and tying it in and tying it back to your burning desire, I think Coach Dr. Liz is going to bring it really home with her next segment.
Oh my goodness. I love the way that you tied into, thinking about when you talked about the persistence and the desire, how those two tie in together. Like, really, you can't have one without the other. Being persistent, it takes you to have a desire to get started. That's why that's number one in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. That's why it's the number one on the list, right? So I just love the way you tied in also about the book writing. And you're absolutely correct. Way before we even met or, any of that, I had a burning desire to be a published author, right? And writing down in my journal, each chapter became my outline. And the same thing, the same pattern. That's why I love that success leaves clues. Because if you follow those with a burning desire and with the persistence, man, you cannot lose. You just keep going. And like you said, when you get up to the battle, when it's your turn to bat, and you just keep swinging, and you just keep going. So I love it. I love it. I love it. But what I just wanted to let everybody know, make sure that in order to apply these principles and to really, really dive into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book and also the journal or planner, we're going to you're just going to click the links below. I too get so excited, Coach Mike, because this is so amazing when you start to put success principles and tools, and then you see the success inch by inch by inch. So let's start this again about click the links below and grab your journal and your copy of Think and Grow Rich, right? Your own personal copy, okay? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, leaders are readers, powered by the Book Cafe. Bye for now.